The group calling itself Sexual Reproductive Health, for your information, is calling for the government to make abortions safer. They've taken to the streets to remove posters promoting what they call unsafe abortions. For more on this, I'm joined in studio by Khanyisa Booi from Sexual Reproductive Health, for your information. Khanyisa, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having us.
Now, yesterday you guys released a statement to say that there was a cleanup that was going to take place today. I understand you've just rushed from that cleanup.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about this cause and what it is that you guys found during that cleanup today.
So essentially, the Sexual and Reproductive Health for Your Information campaign is aimed at young girls and young women to give them information about sexual and reproductive health. But in the work that we do, we realize that a lot of the backlash is coming from unsafe abortion. And some of it is a spillage from stockouts of contraceptives as well. So today we went to Park Station to take down abortion posters or flyers, whatever you call them. They're literally all over the place. They're stacked on top of each other. And during that whole thing, you find things about loans, about enlargements, and all sorts of weird and wonderful things. And then you realize that this is not just about abortion, it's structural oppression, and things that are bigger than what we think is actually happening. So when people are advertising for this unsafe abortion, because it is unsafe, women do get sexually assaulted during these processes, and women bleed out and they die and they have incomplete abortions. But it's structural oppression in the sense that the people who see this are people who need the service and can't afford to purchase it.
And I mean, just before we get into the issue of unsafe abortions, maybe there's someone sitting at home watching this interview who's wondering, why are the posters such a big issue? Maybe explain it for us. Why is having posters that give women the option to go and have an unsafe abortion such an issue in our country?
Okay, so the government provides that abortion is legal, and it also provides where you can have an abortion and who can give you an abortion. So where can you have an abortion? At a health facility. Who can give you an abortion? A designated and qualified health professional. So why are these flyers problematic? Because the people who say they give this service are unqualified. And even those who are qualified are not designated. So they're not doing it in a controlled environment where it's safe. So the problem with these is that a person sees this piece of information, they think it is safe for them to go there. In the meantime, they're putting themselves in danger, literally. Another problem is that they are given medication that is not tested, or we don't know what it is. Some abortions are incomplete. Some women bleed out and they actually physically die. We know the story of how Pelelwe, where she was talking about how she went to Hillbrow somewhere and people were sticking things into her vagina, and it was a scary story. So you never can know what you're going to find from this person who says they're providing a pain-free abortion.
And let's speak about why an unsafe abortion would even be enticing to women in South Africa, given our economic situations as well, but also given the fact that, you know, a lot of women, when they go to these healthcare facilities where they're supposed to get the legal abortions, they're turned away by healthcare workers.
Oh, so the Department of Health recently released a list of designated places where you can get a safe abortion. Predominantly, it's medical abortion, which is first trimester. Medical abortion is generally until 10 weeks. Beyond 10 weeks to 12 weeks is another form, which is called surgical, but it's manual vacuum aspiration. But beyond 12 weeks, that's when the trouble is, where a lot of the need for abortion is, but the state only provides 5 of these facilities in all of Gauteng. So where there's a need for women to actually have this service, they can't find it, there's limited beds, and also there's a small matter of conscientious objectors who will not give you the service, but will also not refer you. And some of these big problems lay there, where women go to these spaces and they can't, it's either they need to wait, and pregnancy is a very time-sensitive thing. They need to wait, so come back in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, you're beyond 20 weeks and you can't have the service anymore, right? And also, I think women have the responsibility to also test for pregnancy very early. I think if you test early, then you think about your options in good time as well. And we find that, to some extent, this isn't happening.
And I mean, you're also calling for government to make, the abortion services available at the Hillbrow Healthcare Centre. I mean, for the life of me, I cannot understand why a healthcare center that is, you know, when you look at the population just around Hillbrow, it's a lot, why the service is not already available in that healthcare facility.
So my understanding is that there is a process in place that is looking for a service provider. I think that the process could be swifter, understanding the population dynamics and that there's a lot of sex workers in that area, which means that there might be a greater need for the service in that area. And so we're calling on the Gauteng Health government to really just hasten that process, because there's been episodes of fetuses that are found in bins, and I don't know how that is not showing that there's a state of emergency in Hillbrow. And also we're calling on the government for more second trimester abortion services in these hospitals, and that there must be a debrief session for nurses who do give a service and feel unsupported, because there's also that flip side where we're talking about healthcare workers as if they all don't care, but the system is not necessarily allowing for them to give the best that they can as well. And I think that's also another position the government can take to make sure that those who do provide are fully supported.
Yeah, and just kind of over the years, I know we spoke about this a bit off air, but over the years, Gauteng Health in particular is committed to bringing down those posters. And, you know, we've even seen them saying we've made strides in the number of posters, especially in the Joburg CBDs, regarding the unsafe abortions. Is that what you saw today?
No, that is not what I saw today. In fact, what we saw, I hope the pictures on Twitter will also show, is a pile-up. So what you see is stacks and stacks and stacks and stacks of those posters. So what the person was doing was sticking on top of the other because perhaps it faded because of rain or whatever. But they were not removed. They're just stacked on. Right. And so I don't know what a concerted effort means. I think what would make sense for me is that there are bylaws in the city of Johannesburg. People shouldn't just be advertising. And so people who do that should be arrested. And that would be some form of example and some form of consequence for people who do actually put up these posters. Because these guys are really easy to find. You make that call and you meet them at a retail shop or at a taxi rank. And there he is. So I don't think that they're hard to find. I just think there needs to be a level of intentionality when it comes to issues that are about women, because women are literally dying from unsafe abortions, and it's an emergency.
And I'm just also interested in finding out, you as an organization, I mean, we know about these horrific stories that thousands of women have faced, you know, relying on unsafe abortions because they're either turned away or it's just too late for them to have the abortion at a legal healthcare facility. Do you guys offer them support of any type?
So the campaign is part of an organization called Activate Change Drivers, which is a youth network, right? So what we do is support the causes and the campaigns, and we link women to service providers who are allowing, like your Marie Stopes. Marie Stopes has got some kind of subsidy that they offer women should they not be able to get free services at these clinics. Further, if there's been obstruction to service, we also help women. We facilitate a process with the Human Rights Commission. This is quite recent as well, for them to be able to complain about not being able to access the service. But tangibly, we haven't been able to meaningfully step in for women in ways where a woman does, in fact, either get an adoption if they didn't want, or the only real way is for us to hasten the process of the abortion through your Marie Stopes, through private doctors who are sympathizers, as well as through referrals with doctors within the system, the health system, who understand the cause.
And will this campaign get to a point where you reach out to the police and say, you know what, we've got these flyers, we know exactly where these people are, let's go and shut them down? So
we are in a relationship sort of with the Department of Health, where we want to do this together, and we want to reach out to the SAPS and say, look, we know that this is happening, you know how this is happening, how do we work together to make sure that women are safe? In fact, how do we clearly mark safe spaces where women can have an abortion, and the municipality of Joburg particularly being involved in making sure that the markings of safe spaces are there, because it's no use saying take down these when you're not offering an alternative. So definitely the engagement with the SAPS is critical.
Yeah. And just before we let you go, your advice to, a woman who is maybe watching and they saying, well, we've tried everything. I have tried and they've told me it's either too late. My healthcare facility in my area that I stay in, they've turned me away, either for religious or traditional reasons that the healthcare worker has given. Where can they go? Who can they contact if they need assistance?
Right, so like I mentioned, Marie Stopes does have a subsidy if we make a strong enough case. There are also spaces like IPAS trained facilities. There's an organization called IPAS South Africa who does health systems strengthening. So we do have direct contact with some clinics that have been trained by IPAS where we can refer women and be sure that they would be able to get the service. I would also say you can find us on Twitter if you're on social media. I hope you are, at ActivateZA. You can hashtag SRHFYI. If you've got that query, you can also inbox us. We're on Facebook at Activate Change Drivers if you've got that query as well, so that we can link you to those spaces if you have a state of emergency.
All right.